근데
시작 안 되는 소리야.
아니 지금 이게 녹음하고 있다는 얘기예요. 예. 그냥 제가 호스트가 지금 뉴팝스님이거든요. 아 누가 있나? Hi, Venerable 뉴팝. 뭐라고 얘기를 하고 있는데 안 들린다. 어떻게?
의미 없네. 스님 의미 없어.
Venerable, we cannot hear you. Okay. Venerable, could I check one thing with you? Do you hear me?
조 교수님.
네.
Yes, I can.
It is going to start in 10 minutes. Is that right?
Cái loa xong dục.
We thought it would
Hello, can you hear
begin
me now?
at 20 minutes. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
As you see that there is a group of Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha, and they thought it would start at 10 a.m. 20 minutes ago.
Oh,
So
I'm sorry.
when is the exact time to start?
It is 8:30. It means after 6 minutes.
Oh, I see. So after 6 minutes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So
7
10:30 in
a.m.
Korean
Indian
time.
time. Yes.
Indian time, yes.
So I'm sorry for that inconvenience for the senior Sunim.
Oh, that is okay. But today is the beginning of a winter retreat. So Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha is extremely busy with full day Dhamma ceremonies. So what is the program like? Are they were going to stay for just a short period of time at the beginning? Is that possible?
Yeah, so Venerable Tathālokā will be the conductor for the morning session. So
oh, I see.
We will ask for Venerable Tathālokā's opinion.
Oh, okay, opinion. She's not here yet, right?
I think she is here in the name of her nunnery.
Dhammadharini?
Yes. Venerable Tathālokā, are you there?
Seems like she's not in yet. All right. Yep. We are all okay. So please go ahead and we will do whatever we can do.
Yes, yes. We will try to make as convenient as possible for the senior Sunim. Venerable Tathālokā is here already. I can saw her. I can see her now. Good morning, Venerable.
Hello.
Bây giờ cái loa là bây giờ sao cái loa mà con nghe vậy thì trong những của mình hồi nãy giờ còn nghe không? Rồi cho nên có nói phải đang phải set up từ trước tới giờ mà chịu làm giờ răng xăng ha. Cái loa mới dùng Bluetooth được đúng không? Mà vì sao không nổi Bluetooth trên tấm đâu? Rồi máy thì dùng được không? Không được cái máy cố, cái máy kia dùng được cái máy cố chứ.
iPhone is on. Light पूरा डाल दो तीन पूरा लाइट डाल दोनों साइड हम लोग भी फोकस बनाया तो यहाँ बात करने से
ba mươi gram chứ 50 gram là hơi nhiều. Xong rồi em ngâm với lại em pha nước nóng nước ấm á. Đó, xong rồi em ngâm là em ngâm.
Trực tuyến mà làm lễ với các thành viên thế giới.
Buddho Mahanavo Jochanta Shuddha Vargyan Lochano Loka Sapapu Pakile Saghatko Bandami Buddhang Ahamadarinatam Buddhang Sharanam Gacchami Dhammang Sharanam Gacchami Saṅgham Sharanam Gacchami. We are linked in unison here this morning for the inaugural session of the Global Dharma Council, which is being held in commemoration of 25 years of revival of Bhikkhuni order in modern era, that is 1996 to 2021, which is organized by the Maha Bodhi Society of India in collaboration with the Anagarika Dharmapala International Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies and the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International. I would now invite Bhikkhuni of Therīgatha to dedicate this global number of and 25 years of dedication.
Bây mấy cái anh cái nó còn một tên tiếng này. Mang xe lại cho người ta tới nè nó cái tay tiếng này anh cái ra một cái gì
That's the camera.
Ada dân bán nè kịch kịch cái người ta Mr. Kiran, we can't hear you anymore. So we can't hear Mr. Kiran Lama anymore. Are you there?
Yeah, Bhikkhuni, I think he will contact you.
Now it's okay.
Yes, now we can, it's audible. Something wrong with the mobile, please check and restart again.
Now it's okay, Bhante?
Now it's clear, much better.
Namo Buddhaya. We are linked in unison here this morning for the inaugural session of the Global Dhamma Council, which is being held in commemoration of 25 years of revival of the Bhikkhuni order in modern era, that is 1996 to 2021, and being organized by the Maha Society of India in collaboration with the Anagarika Dharmapala Institute of Pali and Buddhist Studies and the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International. We pay our tribute to the late Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, who was the first to receive the higher ordination. She had an important role for the revival of Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha. She left her body a few months back. So we offer today's webinar as a tribute to the late Bhikkhuni. I would now invite Venerable Bhikkhuni Tathālokā Therī, the founder of Dhammadharini, Theravada Bhikkhuni Association of North America, to dedicate this global Dhamma Council and 25 years of revival of Bhikkhuni order in this modern era.
Greetings. And to all our from around the world. Glad to be together with you all. I think we're going to be beginning with Therīgatha recitation from Dhammadharini Monastery. And then after that, I'll be offering the verse, the Mother's Highest Blessing, and then dedication.
Can I hear you?
Not frequented by ordinary people, my mind adores that place. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Anumotana, thank you very much to the Venerable Bhikkhunī Sangha of Dhammadharini for offering that chanting of the for these verses as we begin. Uttite napamajeya dhammang sucharitang chare dhammachari sukhang seti asming loke hicha. Rise heedless in the dying, fare ye well. Happy are those in Dhamma, in this world and beyond. Dhammanchare suchatang natang ducharitang chare. Dhammachari sukhang seti asming loke param hicha. Well-faring are those who fare in Dhamma, not those who fare in Dhamma, in this world and beyond. These are the streams entering the stream of Buddha's teaching, dedicated to the Mother's highest blessings.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Showing
sadhu.
here. I'd like dedication now of this international webinar on Saṅgha, past, present, and future, with special sort of blessings to the late Venerable Mother of our Maha Bodhi Society of India, Seewalee Therī, Mother Pemawati, wishing for blessings to her. Maha Saṅgha, with tears, pain, and emotional agony of separation, and offer their sons and daughters for the noble cause of the Buddha Sasana, the welfare of humanity towards ultimate freedom from samsaric miseries, for nibbanic bliss. Chirang titantu lokasming samma sambuddhasasane. May all sentient beings be peaceful and happy. This dedication on behalf of the United Theravada Bhikkhunī Sangha International. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. This inaugural session of the Global Dhamma Council, we have as chief guest the Most Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi, the founder Saṅgha Council of Bodhi Monastery, USA. We have as guest of honor Ms. Brenna Artinger, President, Alliance for Bhikkhu Sangha, Maha Upasika Nampet Panichpant Michelson, International Ambassador for Bhikkhunī Sangha, Maha Upasika Marlai Out, founder of Global Compassion and Engagement, Dr. Hemaguna Tilake, the supporter of Bhikkhu Sangha. We have a special guest from Korea. The Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha has played an important role in the Bhikkhu ordination, Bhikkhuni ordination in the year 1996. So we have a special guest from the National Korean Bhikkhuni Association, Venerable Bhikkhunīs Sangwon Sunim and Bongkak Sunim, and also Venerable Bupyun Sunim from the Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha. In this inaugural session, we also have a releasing of the biography book of Mrs. Ranjini De Silva, a well-wisher and lifelong supporter of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. And there is a short documentary presentation from 1996, the higher ordination ceremony at Holy Isipatana Sarnath, which will really highlight this event. And the coordinators of the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International, Venerable Bhikkhuni Tathālokā Therī, founder Dhammadharini Theravada Bhikkhuni Association of North America, Venerable Bhikkhuni Santini Therī, Vihara Kusalayani Saṅgha Bhikkhuni Theravada Indonesia, Venerable Bhikkhuni Liu Phap, Vidita Dhammadharini, Sunyata Bhikkhuni Arama Vietnam, Venerable Bhikkhuni Dhammananda Therī, Songdam Kalyani Bhikkhuni Arama Thailand, and Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhicitta Therī from the Nisala Aranya, Australia. Commencing this inaugural session, I would now invite Venerable P. Seewalee Thero, the General Secretary of the Maha Bodhi Society of India, to deliver the welcome address.
साउंड नहीं आ रही बनते जी। साउंड नहीं आ रही। बनते जी नमो बुद्धाय, साउंड नहीं आ रही है, साउंड नहीं आ रही।
पूरा बंद कर। अभी ठीक है, आवाज आ रही है?
हाँ अब आवाज आई है बनते जी। नमो बुद्धाय बनते जी।
नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्दस्स। It is indeed a great opportunity in welcoming you all this morning to this virtual webinar in this opening session of the Global Dhamma Council. which is being held in commemoration of 25 years of revival of Bhikkhuni order in modern time. It was indeed so delightful to see the large participation in the past 2 days at the 8th International Conference on Pali and Buddhism, which was inaugurated on the 17th November 2021. With the enlightenment of the in 6 BC, the world has turned on a new page of human history, of spiritual achievement. His own spiritual quest led to a sincere search for freedom. It was in the first time in the history of the world, religions, that the Buddha proclaimed spiritual equality of all races, castes, classes, and genders. Women's full ordination as Buddhist Bhikkhunīs has been a contested issue across Buddhist traditions and historical periods. Today, there is a global movement to secure women's full participation in Buddhist monastic institutions. The strength of Buddhist women started to pick up and express itself to the world with their better understanding of the teaching of Buddhism and the depth of their commitment. Sanghamitta, the daughter of King Asoka, became a Bhikkhuni and distributed the order to Sri Lanka and took a sapling from the original Bodhi tree from Bodhigaya with her. This marked one of the key moments of Buddhism's propagation beyond India. Sanghamitta and her brother Maha went to Sri Lanka at the invitation of King Devanampiris, who was a contemporary of Emperor Asoka of India, to spread the teachings of the Buddha. Another woman from India was Princess Hemamala from the state of Kalinga, today Odisha, who took the truth relic to Kandy in Sri Lanka and established the temple of the sacred truth relic in Kandy, which is today so sacredly worshipped. Since long, the Maha Bodhi Society has been supporting towards the Bhikkhuni Sangha and shall continue to do so. From now on, the Bhikkhuni Sangha will work under the banner of the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International, which will be supported by the World Bhikkhuni Support Foundation and Alliance for Bhikkhuni Sangha. We have a large number of bhikkhus and bhikkhunīs, along with upasakas and upasikas from all over the globe, to express their views in this special global Dhamma Council. I most heartily welcome you all and appreciate your cooperation. I also, with great reverence, welcome our chief guest in this inaugural session, the most venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi, founder Saṅgha Council of Bodhi Monastery, and well-wisher and long supporter of the revival of Bhikkhuni order. I'm also delighted to welcome our guest of honor, Mrs. Brenna Artinte, President, Alliance for Bhikkhuni Sangha, Maha Mr. Penny Part Michelson, International Ambassador for Bhikkhuni Sangha, and the founder of Compassion, Maha Mariel Ouch, and also Mrs. Dr. Hema Gunatilaka, supporter of Bhikkhuni Sangha. We also have the releasing of the biography book of Mrs. Ranjit Silva, well-wisher and lifelong supporter of Bhikkhuni Sangha. A short documentary presentation from 1996 high ordination ceremony at Holy Sipata Sarana will greatly highlight this event. I also wish to welcome our special guest from the National Korean Bhikkhuni Association, Venerable Bhikkhunīs Sangwon Sonim and Bong Gak Sonim and Bokpyon Sonim from Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha, who supported for revival of Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha in 1996, and they continued support and inspiring the revival of Bhikkhuni Sangha. I welcome wholeheartedly Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha. I would like to make special mention with appreciation and accord a warm welcome to the coordinators of the United Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha. Venerable Bhikkhuni Tathālokā Theri, Venerable Bhikkhuni Santini Theri, when Bhikkhuni Leopaf Vidita Dhamma Theri, when Bhikkhuni Dhammananda Theri, when Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta Theri. It is due to their untiring efforts and meaningful coordination that we are able to hold this 3 days international webinar for Bhikkhuni Sangha. I wish to welcome the members, Sangha members of various countries joining with us. They are supporting Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha for many years. I wish to welcome members of the Maha Bodhi Society of India, office bearers, and well-wishers from the world Buddhist community from different continents. And I also welcome one and all linked online for this special webinar and seek your cooperation and support for the furtherance of the Bhikkhuni Sangha. Thank you very much. May all be well. May the world Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha flourish. May all be free from mental and physical suffering. Bow to sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu,
Sadhu,
sadhu, anumodami.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
I have now this opportunity in inviting our chief guest, the Most Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi, the President of the Buddhist Association of USA and the founder of the Saṅgha Council of Bodhi Monastery, USA, to deliver your address to this large gathering today.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon to some, good evening to some, and perhaps good night to others. I greet all of my Dharma friends from around the world, whether known or unknown. And especially I thank Bhante Seewalee for inviting me to participate in this important Dharma gathering. And I think it's a very significant event to show our recognition by the part of the international community of the importance of the revival of the Bhikkhunī Sangha in the present time. Through the centuries, from perhaps the 11th century up to the 1990s the Buddha Sasana was something like an elephant with 3 legs. And the leg that was missing, the 4th leg, was the existence of the Bhikkhunī Sangha. Is my voice coming through okay?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah, so through the centuries, from about the 11th to 12th century up to the 20th century, the Buddha Sasana was like an elephant that had lost one of its legs. And in the case of an elephant, if it loses a leg, it's not possible to graft another leg to establish 4 legs for the elephant. But in the case of the Buddha Sasana, we have managed to succeed, at least to some extent, in re-establishing that lost leg of the Sasana, that lost leg being the Bhikkhunī Sangha. And the person who took the initiative in that on the female side was the late Bhikkhuni Kusuma. I actually knew Bhikkhuni Kusuma much better when I was in Sri Lanka before she was ordained, when she was a laywoman by the name of Kusuma Devendra. I think I first met her when the German nun Ayakema came to Sri Lanka. And she came, at that time I was living in the forest hermitage with the German monk, Venerable Nyanaponika Mahatero. And Ayakema came to visit Venerable Nyanaponika. And the person who accompanied Ayakema was Kusuma Devendra. This must have been in 1982. And several times over the years, I would meet Kusuma Devendra at various Buddhist functions. And I remember it was 1985, 1986, I had wanted to go to visit Kataragama, and she kindly arranged a vehicle and brought me down with herself, I think one of her sons. We went down to Kataragama. I spent about a week there, and then she came back after the week and brought me back to Colombo. In 1987, the Sakyadhita organization was established, and Kusuma Devendra became very excited about the formation of that organization, and she became the ardent leader, together with Ranjani De Silva, for the Sri Lankan branch of the Sakyadhita organization. And together they arranged to hold a conference of Sakyadhita in Sri Lanka. And at that time, Kusuma Devendra had expressed the aspiration to have a Bhikkhunī Sangha in the Theravada tradition come back to life. And I remember one time she came to visit Venerable Nyanaponika to discuss that idea with him. But Venerable Nyanaponika told her it's not possible to revive the Bhikkhunī Sangha. And at that time, I was in agreement with Venerable Nyanaponika, because we had the understanding that to revive the Bhikkhunī Sangha, it would be necessary for there to be an unbroken line of the transmission of the ordination, unbroken line down to the present. And since the Theravada Bhikkhunī Sangha no longer existed, it seemed to us impossible to revive a Theravada Bhikkhunī Sangha. But years later, several years later, I heard that Kusuma had gone to India together with a number of Sri Lankan women, and through the auspices of the Maha Bodhi Society, they received the Upasampada ordination. And I confess at that time, I myself and many of the Theravadan monks in Sri Lanka did not think that that could be a valid ordination. But years later, I came to look more closely into the ordination procedure laid down in the Vinaya Pitaka. And what we saw is that the Buddha, when the Bhikkhunī Sangha was established, he allowed the bhikkhus on their own to ordain women as bhikkhunīs. This was the group of 500 Sakyan women, excluding Maha Prajapati Gotami, who had received the ordination directly from the Buddha. So the Buddha said that he allows the bhikkhus to ordain women as bhikkhunīs. And after that, even though another procedure for ordination was established involving a dual Sangha ordination, the Buddha never abolished, never canceled the procedure for the bhikkhus to give the ordination on their own. But he allowed that, or that was allowed to stand within the Vinaya Pitaka. And it was that that provided the incentive for the monks at the Maha Bodhi Society, Venerable Vipulasara and some of the others, to draw upon that prospect to give, or to draw upon that provision in the Vinaya to give the ordination to Kusuma and to the other Sri Lankan women, and to ordain them to the status of bhikkhunīs. And I feel that this is an extremely important development. Like that ordination of Kusuma and some of the others was just like the planting of the seed. A couple of years later, another ordination was arranged at Bodh Gaya under the auspices of the Taiwan-based Fo Guang Shan, or Buddha Light International, in which many other Sri Lankan women from Nepal and other countries received the Upasampada ordination. And since then, the Bhikkhuni ordination has spread throughout much of the Buddhist countries of Asia, particularly in Sri Lanka. Thailand has been much more conservative, and Myanmar extremely conservative. I have to say, even to the point of repressive. But in the West as well, Western women following the Theravada tradition have taken ordination, and now we have thriving Bhikkhuni Sanghas in several of the Western countries. Here in the United States, in California, there are at least 3 or 4 viharas populated by primarily American bhikkhunis. In Australia, under the auspices of the Buddhist Society of Western Australia, there's now a thriving community of bhikkhunis, probably other places in Australia. And I understand that in Sri Lanka, there are probably more than 1,000 bhikkhunis. And this is extremely necessary in our current time, because the mood, the outlook, the perspective of contemporary human beings in, let us say, in countries with a strong liberal intellectual background is that men and women are essentially equal in their capacities. Even in the 19th century, the British philosopher John Stuart Mill said that in his view, concerning the relations between the sexes, between males and females, the subordination of one sex to the other, that is of women to men, is wrong in itself and one of the chief hindrances to human development. And it ought to be replaced by the principle of perfect equality. Because of certain stipulations in the Vinaya, in the legal level, we can't have perfect equality. But at the spiritual level, my own belief is that women have the same capacity for spiritual development, for spiritual cultivation, for realization as males do, and should have the full liberty, all of the rights that can be provided to them to pursue their development, to pursue their goal, to pursue the attainment of the ultimate final goal of the Buddha Dharma, the attainment of nibbana. But still, in the Theravada tradition, we come across that barrier, that obstacle of extreme conservatism. And so what we need is for the younger generation of bhikkhus to expand and open up the range of their mind and to understand first at the purely legal level that there is an ambiguity or a gray area in the Vinaya. In the fact, the ambiguity is the fact that the Buddha never canceled, never abrogated the allowance for bhikkhus to ordain bhikkhunis. And when we take that ambiguity and connect it to the current level or mode of thought, the current intellectual outlook in the world today, in which men and women are regarded as equally capable of great achievements, equally entitled to all opportunities for self-realization, then we can make a strong case that we should advocate for the application of that principle, even to the conservative monks at the head of the various lineages, to argue the case for them to authorize officially and formally in their countries and in their monastic orders the full ordination of women. If that doesn't take place in the eyes of the world at large, the Theravada monastic order is going to look, especially in the traditional Buddhist countries, is going to look repressive and anachronistic, out of step with the current of our times. And so often we get asked, when we are monks giving Dharma talks to new people who are new to Buddhism, often we get asked, are there nuns in Buddhism? Of course, they don't know the terms bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. And when I used to be asked that question in the past, I would have to answer in a somewhat embarrassed way. I would say, yes, we have a kind of nun, but they're not really fully ordained or ordained with the proper monastic ordination, but they have this kind of provisional ordination that was established in Sri Lanka, the Dasasil Mata ordination. And it used to be so embarrassing for me to have to say that. But now, if I'm ever asked that question, I could say very boldly, very confidently, very joyfully, yes, we have bhikkhunis thriving in many of the Theravada Buddhist countries and right here in several of the Western countries. But still, we face that barrier of conservatism in the Saṅgha hierarchy, and the task for the Asian Buddhist monks in Sri Lanka, in Thailand, Cambodia, and if there are some progressively minded monks in Myanmar, to stand up against the Saṅgha elders in a friendly way and argue the case for the authorization and recognition and encouragement of bhikkhuni ordination so that the Bhikkhunī Sangha can flourish once again throughout the Theravada countries of Buddhist Asia. So thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak this evening, morning, afternoon, and perhaps night. And I wish this conference all success and blessings.
Thank you very much, Bhante. Anumodana.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you, Venerable Bhikkhu.
I would now invite one of our special guests from Korea, Venerable Bhikkhuni Bongak Sunim, from the National Korean Bhikkhuni Association, to please speak a few words.
Nice to meet you all, venerables and Dharma fellows. Before I start, let me ask you for your big understanding. Since today is Korea's winter retreat starting day. So our president, Venerable Bongak, she's supposed to be here, but she's been waiting for you start the meeting. However, our own event is just started, so she just left in a hurry for her Dhamma talk. So if you don't mind, I will read the message on behalf of her. Is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. Nice to meet you all, venerables and Dharma fellows. I hope everyone is healthy and safe in a long pandemic situation. My name is Bongak, the president of Korean Bhikkhuni Association. It's an honor to be invited to this meaningful event. Venerable Sangwon was not able to be here due to various circumstances, but she said she was very grateful to you for remembering and appreciating her. We are also very proud of Venerable Sangwon and Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha's contribution to the re-establishment of Sri Lanka and Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha. Thank you for not forgetting that the efforts and sacrifice of senior venerables have been made to achieve Bhikkhuni Sangha today and follow the Buddha's footsteps. I hope that our Bhikkhuni Sangha will continue to develop more, work more, and practice hard together in order to benefit all sentient beings through the Buddha's teachings. Thank you. And we are really appreciate to invite us this meaningful event. Thank you again.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
As the theme goes for this Global Dhamma Council, Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha, past, present, and future, with the subtopics Puja Cha Pujariyanam, offering of great gratitude, honor those who are worthy of honor, importance of recognition of the Bhikkhuni order globally, promotion of monastic training and education for the Bhikkhuni Sangha. I would now invite our conductors of the special seminar, our conductors, Venerable Bhikkhuni Tathālokā Therī, the founder Dhammadharini Forest Monastery, and Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta Therī from the Nisala, Aranya, Australia, to please proceed on with this inaugural session, conducting this inaugural session.
Namo Buddhaya, Namo Ratanataya. Greetings, all dear venerables, most venerables, especially to the Korean Bhikkhuni Association and to Yujung Sunim, who offered the words of the president of the Korean Bhikkhuni Association, Bongak Sunim, and also to most venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi Maha Thero for sharing the inaugural address with us. And now is the time for our program Puja Cha Pujaniyanam. These are the words of the Buddha amongst the highest blessings. We translate into English in our chanting as honoring those worthy of honor. And I'm going to be conducting this session together with Venerable Bhikkhuni Bodhicitta, who is on here together with us, live from Australia, from Nisala, Aranya in Australia. And I'm glad to have her as my co-conductor together. Been really enjoying putting together what we have to share with you this evening or this morning or wherever you are around the world. We are co-conductors on behalf of the United Bhikkhuni Sangha, Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha International, and our other co-conductors also from Sri Lanka, from Thailand, from Vietnam are on here with us and will be joining us later on in the program. We're going to begin now with this Honoring Those Worthy of Honor program. We'll be hearing from a number of speakers who are going to be offering presentations related to the 1996 Sarnath Bhikkhuni ordination in the Deer Park, Isipatane, 25 years ago, and our commemoration of this 25-year anniversary or silver anniversary. The first who we're going to be hearing from is Venerable Bhikkhuni Nidanachitta from Vietnam. She is a Bhikkhunī student of Venerable Bhikkhuni Liu Phap Vidita Dhammadharini and a grand disciple of Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangha, the Pavatini. In Korean, that's called the Unsa, or compassionate teacher, of the 10 Bhikkhunis who ordained in 1996 in Sarnath, Isipatane, in the Deer Park. So Venerable Bhikkhuni Nidanachitta, welcome. She is going to be sharing a presentation with us on the Bhikkhuni, most Venerable Bhikkhuni Pavatini Sangha, who is the lead Korean Bhikkhuni in the 1996 Bhikkhuni ordination. Please welcome to Venerable Bhikkhuni Nidanachitta, disciple of Venerable Liu Phap Vidita Dhammadharini. And we look forward with interest to see your presentation and to learn more about the great Bhikkhuni teacher who helped co-organize this ordination together with the Maha Bodhi Society of India and Shakyadita Sri Lanka. Please.
Good morning, Venerables. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to share our gratitude to most Venerable Bhikkhunī Sangha through my presentation. Most Venerable Bhikkhunī Sangha was born 82 years ago into the Ban family in 1939 in Thang Chin, near the western part of Pyeongtaek Thang Chin in southern Chungcheon province in South Korea. She was given the name Chusok, a kind of precious trait. At the age of 20, Chusok graduated from Yeson Girls High School, and that same year entered monastic life at his renowned Bhikkhuni hermitage, Samsonam, with Venerable Bhikkhuni Phokman Sungim as her mentor, receiving the monastic Dharma name Sangwan, referring to the profound Buddhist doctrine of codependent origination. She began to intensively study the Buddhist sutras that year with Bhikkhu Master Chiwan Sungim, later to become Korean Supreme Patriarch at Haesan Temple, and received summary precepts with Bhikkhu Master Sokwan Sungim as preceptor. At that time, it was not common for Korean Bhikkhunis to undertake higher education, but in 1966, she graduated from the Buddhist Thongbuk University in Seoul, one of the first two Korean Bhikkhunis to do so. That year, 1966, she also received full Bhikkhuni ordination with Great National Vinaya Master Cha Un Sungim as her preceptor. 10 years after full ordination as a Bhikkhuni, in 1975, Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangwon founded her own temple, Homyeonsa Temple on Mount Gwanak in Seoul, becoming an abbess. From 1979, she became the director of the Sonakwan Meditation Center established at her temple. After pilgrimage to India in 1981, 15 years after her graduation from Thongbuk University, She was chosen as the first foreign Buddhist exchange student to be sent abroad for further studies. In 1982, she traveled to Sri Lanka as a Korean delegate for the Conference of World Buddhist Scholars and Leaders. Through the agency of the most venerable Anagarika Nayaka Mahathera, Venerable Sangwon was entrusted with a portion of the Buddha's corporal relics from the ancient Isuru Muniya temple in Anuradhapura, the ancient capital of Sri Lanka. In 1983, the relics were conveyed with full state honors and received at Pomyonsa Temple in Seoul, establishing Buddhist diplomatic relations between the two countries. From 1983 to 1986, as the Bhikkhuni Goodwill Ambassador, Venerable Sangwon studied Pali, Sanskrit, and English at the Paramadhamma Chettiya Birivena of Ramalana near Colombo, Sri Lanka, the oldest international Buddhist monastic education of Sri Lanka. And in 1986, she established a stable for the Isuru Muniya Buddha relics at Pomyonsa in Seoul. In 1987, she went on to found the Korea-Sri Lanka Cultural Exchange Society. From 1986, Venerable Sangwon Sunyim was established as an executive committee member of the World Buddhist Sangha Council, WBSC, and regularly attended the council's meetings internationally as representative of the Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha. In 1987, she founded the Korea-Sri Lanka Cultural Exchange Society. In October of 1993, she attended the Therīgatha International Conference of Buddhist Women on Buddhist Women in Modern Society in Colombo, Sri Lanka, together with Most Venerable Hichun Sunyim, the president of the Korean Bhikkhuni Association, where the topic of Bhikkhuni ordination was brought up repeatedly. Out of this conference, Sakyajita Sri Lanka was born. This conference was organized by Madame Ranchani da Silva, later to become president of Sakyajita International, and attended by two women who were to become leading Theravada Bhikkhunīs, Kusuma Devendra, the first Bhikkhuni of Sri Lanka, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, and Dr. Jasumanka Bisin, the first Bhikkhuni of Thailand, Venerable Bhikkhuni Thammananda. 1 year later, in November of 1995, Sangwon Sunyim attended the 5th World Buddhist Sangha Council meeting on mission of the age for Sangha in Malaysia. Several mission proposals were made to the council. The revival of the lineage of Southern tradition Bhikkhuni emerged foremost, and a decision was taken for the revival of the Theravada Bhikkhuni Sangha with the support of the WBSC chairman of the dual Korean Bhikkhuni Sangha delegates of the WBSC and members of the Sri Lankan Bhikkhu Sangha with the Maha Bodhi Society of India and from around the world. On December the 8th, 1996, on the historic day, we are now commemorating 108 members of the Korean Bhikkhuni Maha Sangha, together with 10 members of the International Sri Lankan Bhikkhu Maha Sangha, assembled in Sanati Sivatana in the Deer Park to convey full Bhikkhuni ordination upon the 10 Sri Lanka women renunciates in what was described as a historic handover ceremony to reconnect the lineage of Sri Lankan Bhikkhunīs. The candidates were led by Most Venerable Sangwon as Bhikkhuni Bhavatini and Most Venerable John as Bhikkhuni Acharini, together with more than 10 Korean existing and witnessing Bhikkhunīs. In 2002, the honorable title of Buddha Sasana Vista Kirti Sri were bestowed upon Venerable Sangwon Sunyim by the Sri Lanka Sangha for her lifetime achievements as a Buddhist ambassador of goodwill. She received numerous other awards and commendations from Korean Sangha and Burmese Sangha, as well as in India. Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangwon Sunyim faithfully continued to support the new Sri Lanka Bhikkhunīs, establishing a Bhikkhuni Study Center in Kalaniya, north of Colombo, through the gift of land for this purpose by Most Venerable Mahinda Nayaka Maha Thero, Ecclesiastical Governor of Kelaniya. In 2002, she was invited to serve again as the senior Bhikkhuni preceptor for the first international Theravada Bhikkhuni ordination in Sri Lanka at Mount Lavinia, Tapotanarama, with two of her 1996 Bhikkhuni ordinees, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma and Venerable Bhikkhuni Velayagoda Sudarshana, officiating as Dhammadharinis, and with Tapotanarama Chief Abbot, Most Venerable Talale Tathālokā Nayaka Maha Thero, a member of the World Saṅgha Council, as a Bhikkhu Upachaya. It was at this ordination that the first four Vietnamese Theravada Bhikkhunis, including Venerable Liễu Pháp Vidyatthā Theri, received Bhikkhuni ordination, reviving Bhikkhuni ordination among the Theravada traditions of Southern Vietnam. In 2005, Venerable Bhikkhunī Sangha was awarded an Outstanding Woman in Buddhism Award on United Nations International Women's Day at the UN Hall in Bangkok, Thailand, in recognition of her great service in the resurrection of the Theravada Bhikkhuni ordination lineage. In 2007, the temple she built in Kelaniya, Sri Lanka, on the land offered by Most Venerable Mahinda Nayaka Thero for the 1996 ordained Bhikkhunis were inaugurated in a grand celebration with the blessing of the governor of Kelaniya. Many senior Sri Lanka Saṅgha members and great Korean monk Suwon Sunim, the chairman of the Korean Buddhist Television Network, BTN. The inscription of the Pomyansa Temple steward of the Buddha's Isrumuniya Saririka Thatu records memorialized Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangha Sunyim's role in the revival of the Southern Bhikkhuni lineage. Today, we honor Most Venerable Bhikkhuni Sangha Sunyim again on this 2021, November full moon, the 25th anniversary for what was perhaps her crowning life work, the revival of the Theravada Bhikkhuni. And last but not least, many thanks to Professor Cho Eun-Soo of Sakya Pita, Korea, for generously sharing her time and collaborating together in researching Most Venerable Sangha Sunyim and the 1996 Sanat Sivatanaji Park Bhikkhuni ordination, and to Sangha Sunyim herself for generously sharing materials from her archives, offering several interviews with Professor Cho and Bhikkhuni Juson Sunyim, as well as several personal written testimonials shared with Venerable Tathālokā, Venerable Bhikkhuni Kusuma, Venerable Bhikkhuni Velayagoda Sudarshana, Venerable Bhikkhuni Liễu Pháp Vidyatthā, Venerable Bhikkhuni Pháp Thị Thammananda, Venerable Bhikkhuni Suvira, Venerable Kamase Somo, Venerable Shumen Sakyamuni, and Madame Ranchini de Silva Nirosha Monashige, and Swani were all greatly helpful to us for my presentation. Thank you, Venerables, for listening.
Let me take the opportunity to